Hello everyone, thank you again for tuning in for today's video. In today's video, I will go over how to apply for graduate school and give tips that I use to get into Johns Hopkins. And I believe these tips will help in the process. And before we get into the tips, I want to go over some preliminaries on what you should do before even just considering grad school and applying. You should make sure your GPA is above a 3.0 and for bigger schools above a 3.5, so that's very important. You should also try to get some research or work experience in the career or the field that you're interested in, and some leadership roles. Try to put in the work necessary to make your application as just strong as possible. These are some preliminaries or things to think of. And now let's get into the tips. So the first tip that I have for you in applying for graduate school is to contact the professors you want to work with in that graduate school or graduate program you're interested in. This is very important because if you're interested in doing research when you go to graduate school, you have to be able to make contact and make a good impression for a professor to be interested in accepting you in their lab. This is a very important step that a lot of people neglect and just want to, get their application ready, make sure they meet all the requirements. But try to, at least 3 to 6 months before, look at the labs that you can work in. Look at the labs you're interested in, especially if you are a PhD student, master students also. You should look at the professors you want to work with when you get in graduate school. Contact them and try to build a relationship. See if you can attend one of their, let's say, meetings to get an idea of how the lab operates and build that relationship beforehand, and tell them that you're interested in applying to the school and also working in the lab. From there, you'll be able to build a relationship. But that's a very good start. So the next point is on making a strong academic CV, and I'm going to show you a little template here from University of Illinois where it just shows that having publications, showing your awards and honors, and showing your just your relevant experience or research experience is very important in this, as well as oral presentations. This is very different from a resume because a resume focuses on your work experience and your skill set, while a CV focuses specifically or more on your professional experience and your academic experience and your awards and honors. So for these types of inputs in the application for the CV, you need to really hone in on everything that you've done. This is like more of a holistic view of who you are and just everything you've done while you're in school. That's why I recommend that as you are in school right now, trying to get some research experience will help. If you can get a publication, that would be great. If you can even list out just the honors you received, were you a dean's list, did you win any scholarships or anything that made you stand out? If you got a presentation to go, like for me, I went to BMES, which was Biomedical Engineering Society presentation. I listed that out. So anything that is in your academic career or anything that is in your professional career that can be relevant in terms of the graduate application. For relevant experience, it could be your work experience or research experience that can help you for your graduate program. Okay, so let's talk about it. So the statement of purpose is the most important aspect of your application. This is very important. I have to re-emphasize this. This is very important that you get this down. So in working on the statement of purpose, there are really 5 aspects to look into, but most importantly, there are 3 aspects to look into. These are the most important aspects. It is your personal story. It is your research or work experience results and accomplishments. And lastly, it is the reasons why you want to go to grad school. These are the top 3 things you have to look into for a statement of purpose. The next things you can look into are just your extracurriculars and how you're contributing to society and what lab you're interested in specifically. So let's get into the most important aspect of just the statement of purpose. It is your personal story. I can give you an example of how I even got into Hopkins. I gave my personal story. I said more specifically that when I was in high school, I engaged in a lot of extracurricular activities, and I love just playing soccer, basketball, and so many different sports. I got an opportunity to watch a video of biomedical engineering, and I saw how people made prosthetics for people. And sometimes people had limited range of motion and just weren't able to participate in all types of activities or just living the fullness of life. And I said to myself that that's the area I want to focus on. I want to be able to make a contribution to society where I can help people to live and engage in the activities that they want to engage in, to live their best life. That was what I talked about in my statement of purpose. That's why I was interested in rehabilitation engineering. That's like a little short little story of how I became, who I am today. So you can talk about that. You can talk about why you want to become something. Now, the next point I made is for you to go into your work experience. Because of my interest in rehabilitation engineering, I decided to apply for an internship specifically for that. And I worked at Cleveland State University, did a RE program there, and I learned so much about rehabilitation engineering because of that. What does that mean? There's a flow. I worked towards the goal that I set. You see what I'm saying? Then the last thing is what? The last thing is the reasons why I was interested in graduate school. The most important, the most important reason that I said was that I was interested in just getting an opportunity to network with some of the greatest minds and being able to learn from a lot of scholars in this field, becoming an expert in the field, and also being able to being able to make a contribution in society with the work I was doing. And going to graduate school will put me around the resources and the necessary the like-minded people that can help me to reach this goal. So I explain these things. If you can really talk about this and allow for a flow, you're interested in this particular area, and then now you are working towards this by internships or whatnot, and then you showcase that in your reasons for going to grad school, you have a strong application. So then I went into my extracurriculars. I talked about how I was in the prosthetics club and how I try to contribute. And then also, I talked about just being able to um, just work in these areas and grow and develop my skills. Then the last thing I mentioned was that I was interested in a lab that worked on assistive robotics, which is in rehabilitation engineering. So I kind of covered everything. So just a quick recap: give a good story of what you want to be or what inspired you to become what you want to be. Then talk about the experiences you had with the accomplishments. Like, did you win any awards or whatnot? That's very important too. Then the last one is just being able to just recognize the importance of having a strong reason. What will grad school help you? How will grad school help you to become the person that you want to become? That's very important. And then you can look into extracurriculars, how that will help, by how you use your passion now to be able to contribute to society, and then finding a lab that coincides with your interests. You see what I mean? So it shows that you're very driven. Do not get into this kind of mindset where you feel as if you have to suck up to the university, where it's oh, Johns Hopkins, that means that you guys are the best, and because you're the best, I gotta be here. It will be a dream to work with um, all of you guys. This is my dream school. Don't do all that. Show you're desperate. No, just be you. Be unapologetically you. Show that you mean business in the career that you're interested in. And that's my tips for statement of purpose. The next tip is on getting recommendation letters ready. This is very valuable because I want you guys to be able to think about and put the professor's time and take that into consideration. You have to try to get recommendations or notify your professors early, very early. You know, months before, 3 months, 3 or 4 months before the deadline, so that it can give them a time for you to for you to send the statement of purpose, and for you to send your CV to them, so that they can make a strong application, or they can make a strong recommendation letter. Sometimes in these graduate applications, it'll ask a question. Specifically, we want the recommender to talk about your academic achievements, your character, all of this. You can send them exactly what you want them to talk about. Usually it's your character, your research, your work experience, the experience they've had with working with you. That's very important, but you should notify them and let them have some time to work on it. Some professors will ask you to draft it. It's okay. All you got to do for a draft is talk about the experience you've had working in their lab, or being in their class, whatever the case is, and also talk about your achievements, accomplishments, and why you're a student that is deserving to not only go to grad school, but why you're a student that will excel and do well in this environment. So try to let your professors know months before. This is very important. You should need three recommendations. So try to let them know early and just tell them what you want them to write. Send them an email of your CV and your statement of purpose, and that will help tremendously. So the last tip I have for you is to be able to apply for scholarships and fellowships. I have a video up here going over how to win graduate fellowships. I think you should watch that video. It's very informative. It'll teach you, it'll give you a link on, just a site of different national fellowships you can apply for, and it tips to make yourself a valuable candidate to win them. And I think you should look into that. But it's very important that you find your own funding. This can make you very marketable, especially when you are, you want to work in a lab. If you come with your own funding, your chances of getting that lab have risen. Why not? Because now the lab doesn't have to fund you as a student, because you have private funding, and that's very important. So I implore you all to apply to fellowships. I recommend applying to at least 2 fellowship applications, at least 2 for the academic year, so that even if you don't get one, you could possibly get the other. It's a greater chance of you winning. So apply for that so that you can have a means of even having a stipend, taking care of yourself, and also funding yourself for graduate school. I'm a master's student here at Hopkins, and I may not have a stipend, but I have my tuition covered, which goes a long way. And I recommend that you guys have private funding and look into fellowships, and I talk all about that in the video that I was talking about earlier. But that's my tip for you. If you made it this far, thank you for tuning into the video. I really appreciate your support. Remember, you guys can do it. If you're thinking about going to graduate school, that's powerful. It's a great endeavor, and I believe you guys will all be experts in your field one day, and tell me about it. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments, and have a great day.